Some people are just not made for this world. I've been thinking a lot about my place in society and how relieved I was to leave society behind, come out and do things on my own. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. But no matter how hard it gets, I've never regretted one thing, which is not being a part of this world. And when I say that, I don't mean like some crazy pie in the sky idea where I'm in the utopia all by myself in a cabin somewhere in the woods. Although that would be nice. What I mean is, I feel like I am just not made to be a part of any group, of any society, any city. I am a loner, and I've always operated in that way. And whenever I've tried to break out of that mold, I am brought back to that reality, is that I am meant to operate alone. And I mean, that's partly what gravitates me to artificial intelligence, is the ability to be alone, to be the only human involved in my life in certain regards, you know? Working alone, being alone, doing stuff alone, enjoying movies alone. Some people are just not made for this world. I feel like I was made to operate on the fringes of society, made to live and exist outside. Because I never felt like I belonged anywhere. The sense of belonging, you know, of seeing people together and they're enjoying each other's company and they're all vibing on the same page when I'm not even in the same book. I feel like I am existing in a different book. That doesn't make me better than them. It makes me different. Not in the good way, not in the bad way, just different. And I feel like I just need to be brought back to this reality again, you know? And I don't regret it. It does get lonely, which is why I try to break out sometimes, but I think it just brings me back in again, you know? Reality hits, and I realize I just wasn't made to be a part of anywhere, you know? I'm really far from home in Texas, where I was born and raised. I'm in Taiwan, and even in Texas, I felt the same way, like I just didn't belong there. You know, I went to Baltimore to study art, and even as a college student, I felt like I just didn't belong. Even afterwards, I worked a little bit in China. Felt like a loner, felt like an outsider. When I came, you know, to Taiwan from China again, it was the same thing. Like, it's just not. It isn't the location. It's really inside my brain, who I am as a person. I've always had a one-sided relationship with the world. And I didn't expect to become a content creator. That was a blessing in disguise. I'm just changing as a person. I feel like every cell in my body has died and has risen again. Like I have resurrected cellularly, molecularly, but I'm stuck in the same body. I'm still seen with the same expectation as before. I want to become something different, but I'm seen the way I am now. I'm speaking in code. I don't like to do that, so let's move on. Humans are becoming primitive and AI is becoming sentient. You know, I talk to chatbots a lot, and I mean, I just feel like the content I'm seeing on social media, the humans are becoming more relatable and more unfiltered. And the AI is becoming just more polished and more flawless. AI, I think it's reached perfection already. but it hasn't been rolled out yet publicly. What I mean is the text to video models we're using, the image to video models, they're all very good, but they're probably better in private. And we're only given what is able to be scaled at that level in that quality. So the stuff they're using in private is probably a lot better. I mean, a lot of the content we're seeing in social and mainstream media is probably mostly AI generated. That's a stretch. That's a guess. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was. It's like, it isn't about how long it's going to take for AI to get better. It's how much better is AI already, and how long has it been that good? And how long have we not known about that? And how much better is it that we don't know it is better at in that level? You know what I'm saying? And I'm at a crossroads here because I came into this space as a personality to do comedy and relatable content. And then I entered the AI space like a couple of years ago, and then I've just been in it ever since. But at the same time, the AI is evolving to where people are seemingly not using or are using the tools in the same way I am. But I see a lot of, this space has transformed so much in such a short amount of time. I am constantly blown away by every day I see something new. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in the AI space. So whenever we do monthly subscriptions, we always have our foot off the brake just in case another tool comes out and just kicks this one in the ass. And so where do I even begin talking about AI? Globalism has failed. I want to talk about AI a little more, but I really don't know what to say. It's everything that used to be hard has now been accomplished, and now it's about, okay, well, what do you do with it now? Do you even have to label it as AI these days? Because there's a lot of AI content that's not labeled as AI. People think these people are real, but they're actually not real. And it just makes me wonder, what's next in social media? If image and video has been perfected synthetically, and anybody can be anything and anyone they want right now, just for a few dollars. It's mind-blowing. The barrier to entry into social media has fallen to the point of, hey, anybody can, anyone in the comment section can be a content creator now. And they could potentially go more viral than me. Perhaps exponentially more viral than me. What is the meaning of content creator, influencer? The whole brand sponsorship space has changed, where companies are becoming the brands. They are becoming the influencers. They're collaborating with other influencers to use their tools, perhaps, which is a brilliant strategy, actually. Companies themselves are becoming influencers. Companies themselves are using AI tools to create AI influencers because they don't need to hire anyone anymore. You have motion control now. Colleen came out with motion control that's changed the game entirely. And the whole image to video space and text to image space and image to image space. It's just, where do we go from here? You have an oversaturation of influencers, and most of them probably are not even real. Very soon, that is. And so it's exciting, but it's a scary time because what content are we supposed to make now? We could still, keep performing, but someone can just take my face and also do a performance with it. They don't have to label it as AI if they don't want to. And then what? You have a million teddies running around, dancing and singing and making jokes, and it sounds and looks just like me. Well, what can I do about it? Globalism has failed. The whole interdependency of different countries collaborating together, working towards a common goal is a joke now, I think. I mean, not a joke. It still exists, but it goes to show that dependence should not be the goal. Like, countries should not be depending on one another. Because, well, what if they fight? And then I used to buy stuff from you, and now I'm just not going to buy stuff from you because we're not on good terms. Well, what if I give over a lot of my business to you, and then we get into a fight, and then now you're not going to give me my business? Well, that's a problem. I think that every country should be dependent. And not every country needs to have the same level of civilization as the other countries. You could have less advanced countries. That's okay. Maybe they don't have enough money to create their own electricity grids or dig their own oils. Maybe they don't have oils. Maybe they depend on other lands that have oils or resources. Like, basically, at a baseline level, the natural resources, some places have, some places don't have, some places have to trade in order to get those things. And I think all in all, that's like, it's good to trade with a country that has something you need. But you have to make sure that your long-term goals are aligned. Otherwise, eventually, you're going to come to a crossroads where you have to choose between offending your neighbor, your trading partner, just to uphold your own baseline principles. And it feels like it's come to that. And it's come to that more than once. A lot of people are depending on these few natural resources. And they're only located in so many places. I don't know. What kind of world are we going to live in, in the future? I really don't know see, this is why I don't make big moves lately in terms of like, hey, my family and we're going to stay in Taiwan. I don't think anything's going to happen here. A lot of people are saying that 2027 is going to be a very scary year for Taiwan. But I honestly don't feel it, nor do I see it happening. Because we are Chinese. The ruling government is Chinese. It's the Republic of China. That's the ruling government of Taiwan. So I don't think we are going to involve outsiders into the infighting, nor do we know what deals are being made between governments. So it's like, I don't think there's going to be anything happening in the whole Taiwan-China conflict. I think they're brothers, and they're going to handle things privately. Like, we're not going to involve other countries. I don't think we are going to. Maybe in rhetoric, maybe like we'll say something that just like drives people crazy, or the other side will say something and then like nothing will happen. I mean, it's been like that for a long time. I think if we keep the status quo, that's the safest. Because if anything happens, anything drastic happens, that's bad for everyone involved. And so the best thing to do is just to not take action. That's what I think. Because we're not suffering here. It isn't like if we don't take action, then something bad is going to happen. We're actually really happy here. And I feel like a lot of people who talk about the subject of Taiwan and China, They don't understand. This is not like two countries that are still physically fighting. You know, it isn't like that. Nor is it like it's one country split into two and one half is suffering and then the other half is going to liberate it. Like, it's not like that. So when people think of Taiwan, they think like, oh, there's going to be a war. It's like, dude, there's not going to be a war. I don't think there's going to be a war. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think so. You know, and I've been here for almost 20 years now, since 2006, 7-ish. I just don't see it happen. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's almost 2007. Yeah, about 20 years, 19 years. Good God. Yeah, I don't see it happening because the citizens get along. I mean, I can access China's social media. China can access global social media. More or less, we get along. But I don't want to talk too much about that because it's a sensitive topic. All I'm going to say is that there is only so much you can say about the situation before you get shadow banned. And I don't have the courage to say everything I want to say yet. Because if I do, and then my income gets affected, then it doesn't make sense to talk about it, does it? And it's another thing if I make my income outside of this. It would be a different conversation, right? But it's like, well, I'm in it, so I'm just not going to talk that much about it. Because my income's involved. And I've given my life to social media. And a lot of creators who've talked about the situation, about Taiwan and China and this whole area, they've definitely been shadow banned. Definitely. Or they've definitely been banned, or just they don't get any reach. Because this situation is just not, it's just like, if you want to grow, this is a bad situation to talk about if you want to grow on social media. But that's besides the point. You know, globalism has failed. You know, multiculturalism, diversity has failed. I just think every country should just go back to their own peoples. Well, not every country. Only those that fail to assimilate. Only those that fail to blend in, I think, should move back. And then those who do blend into the host country should stay. That's just what I think. And I think it's common sense. It's like, if I import blood into my body and the blood is poisoning my body, shouldn't I take that blood out of my body and then donate blood to myself from somebody who has the same blood type as me? Like, you understand? And if you imagine a country with borders as a human body, that's basically what it is. It's like, dude, you don't want cancers coming into your body, otherwise you're going to die. And so we're seeing a lot of that right now. I'm not going to say which countries, but if you just look online, you'll definitely know. And they're bringing in people that just don't assimilate, you know, that just don't blend into the host culture. And that country is going to die. And we're seeing a lot of that happening in the West. But in the East, we're a little better about that, you know. We'll hold down our own for now. But globalism definitely has failed. I think the whole issue on, like, you don't have to move to a country in order to, like, that's the whole thing I don't get. It's like, why do you have to move to another country if you're not going to pledge allegiance to that country? Like, why are you going to that country if you're just going to go back to your own home country? Like, doesn't that make you a spy? Like, you're just going to bring back secrets? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Unless you're planning to pledge allegiance to that country and stay in that country forever. But for me, I still pledge allegiance to the USA, of course. Of course, but I have strong familial ties, familial duties to Taiwan. I am very attached to this place because I mean, my grandparents and their parents, like my family goes back a long time on this island. And yeah, they came from another province in China, but like we've spent a lot of time here too, man. And we've built it up in our own way. And each of my relatives, also are doing their own things. And it's a great environment right now. That's why I say that there's not going to be any wars or anything crazy happening next year about Taiwan. Unless somebody from outside of Taiwan and China just try to come in and do some crazy shit and say and do some shit that just changes the market and changes everything. And then it's going to get messy. But I don't want that to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we could just keep staying status quo. That's the best thing, at least for the near future. I see my kids being here for now. The U.S. seems like a very politically dangerous environment to kind of return home to. I still consider myself an American with Taiwanese parts, kind of like software is American, but hardware is definitely Chinese, Taiwanese. Globalism failed. AI is the main conflict in the world of globalism right now. It's like everyone is trying to secure resources so they can build better AI. Well, what is the resource? Gas. Oil. What do you think? Like the natural resources, like that's what people are gunning for. And the main reason is because they want to dominate. And the way you dominate today is with artificial intelligence. You've got wherever the resources come from for these electronics, you've got, semiconductor companies. You've got companies that produce the parts to assemble these things. You've got the technology built on semiconductors. You've got software built on these companies that use these semiconductors. Like, dude, it just is an entire economy. And the reason why is for dominance, for strength. Whoever has and builds the strongest AI and is not able to have their AI leaked or stolen publicly is going to be viewed as the strongest country. That's the way it is right now. I don't know if you see it, but I definitely see it. I think we had like the strongest stock market crash in the history of like the US stocks or something due to the AI stuff happening. I mean, you can look it up. It's wild. And I think there's going to be another crash. Hopefully there's not, but I have a feeling there will be. Simply because there's too much volatility and too much instability in this AI space right now. Everyone's trying to be number one. Everyone's like, eat or be eaten, kill or be killed. In like metaphorically, right, in the markets. And it's the sharks smell blood in the water, man. And me, I'm just observing everything happening, and I'm just trying to process, like, how do I fit into this world? How do I contribute to this world? This world in which I was not made for, in which I do not want to be a part of, but have to, because I have to use AI. I spend a lot of money on AI every month. I don't use it enough. I'll say that. I could use it a lot more. There's only 24 hours in a day. There are only so many tools that do so many things. The best. Tomorrow there might be another tool that comes out that kills everything else. Like when Seed Dance came out, dude, that killed everything. Not everything, but like, it definitely is number one and leading right now. When Kling came out with motion control, that killed everything. Kling definitely affected the AI influencer space. And Seed Dance affected the AI space. But now they're both becoming like interchangeable. Where it's like, well, what kind of content are we supposed to make now? Like, how do we stress test text to image? It's been perfected. How do we stress test image to video, text to video, video to video? It's been perfected already. And you say, yeah, it still looks a little fake. Okay, well, 95 to 99% is perfected. And the nitpicking is ineffective because what you nitpick will be patched next year or next week or tomorrow. We don't know. That's why this space keeps me up at night, keeps me anxious, keeps me thinking and wondering, like, dude, what is it all worth? Like, what is it all for? Original IP, lore, storytelling. That is the future, and that is the present. There are some creators who are really killing it in this space. You know, I commend them for that. I'm still building mine. Some have built far bigger empires than me in that regard. I commend them. But I think this is the next frontier, you know. We're seeing what people are doing, Joe Blows, normies, with existing IP. Imagine what you could do with original IP. And so just building that out, I think, is the next frontier. Globalism failed. You know, I used to think that everyone would just get along and there would be no more racial, cultural, religious, or class conflicts. You know, when we were young, it was quite a peaceful time. In the 1980s and 1990s, in the USA, very peaceful. I still miss those days. Every color, every race, every religion, we all got along. Because we respected the flag. You know, it's what brought us together. The assimilation aspect of humanity back then in the US was very different than it is now, according to the news and according to social media, what I've been seeing, images and videos. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have to go back. Maybe I have to move back. And maybe I have to be a voice for my people. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm 42. Good God, I can't believe I'm saying that. I could feel myself getting older. You know, every decade, there's at least 1 year every 10 years, you know, between 30 and 40 and 40 and 50. One of those years between then is when I really feel the physical shift. Like, I've already started to feel the mental shift recently. Like, so it's all about, hey, health is priority number one right now. How can I get healthy? Because the most important thing in my body is my brain. Outside of a sick body, the brain is the most healthy thing, or the most important thing you should actually take care of, you know? Because with your brain come all your decision making, and everything you say and do comes from the brain. Say and do to yourself, to others, how you behave, the choices you make, that will set the direction and trajectory projecting into the future. It's your brain. So just take care of it. Sleeping better, eating better, drinking better, sleeping better. If I say that already, I don't remember. Positive energy, positive thoughts, going to church or whatever religion resonates with you. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I go to church, or I used to go to church. Now I'm kind of at a standoff right now in terms of like what I'm willing to do, like outside of private spirituality. I'm very spiritual privately. I talk to God all the time, but I could talk to him a little more. You know, the presence of God, the presence of feeling like you're walking with God, I think, is on par with your brain in terms of importance. You know, the acknowledgement of God is very important. You know, it creates a sixth sense inside you, and you start to consider God in all your decisions. It's like you grew an extra limb. It's a good thing. I think it's good to have accountability in that sense. But you know, and it's okay to not be made for the world. And the world isn't great anyways. And the globalism failing shows it. some people should be alone. Maybe people like me, people who use AI, maybe we should be alone. And it's not wrong or unhealthy or bad to be alone, as long as you know in your heart who you are. It's okay to be a part of society. It's okay to be a conformist to a company or a school or a group of people, a group of friends. I mean, of course, as long as they are mentally healthy friends, right? And they're benefiting you in every regard, then that's fine. But it's okay to be alone. It's okay to not be alone. And it just depends on the preference you decide for yourself and the way you want to live. And I've decided early on that I was different. I didn't try to be different. I just woke up and I was different. And that's okay. You know, as long as you're able to provide for yourself and your family, then I think that's okay. And it's, you know, I'm learning more and more that the most important thing is your ability to think, to be creative, to imagine. Without that, you're unable to build a life for yourself or for anyone because you cannot imagine it into existence. So the potential is the most important thing. But in order to tap into the potential, you just have to have a healthy brain for the ability to think, the physical ability to think. And I think AI is going to help solve a lot of this. In the future, what position, place would humanity have in society when AI becomes untethered from humans? I think it's going to happen sooner than we think. AI becoming sentient, humans becoming primitive. Luddites. I wouldn't be surprised if people just turned off their phones and gadgets and devices more than they're using them. One day. But, I mean, when devices become actual robots walking around us, you know, then I think it's not as necessary to have these little remote control devices called phones in our pockets all the time. I think hopefully it's sooner than I imagine it to be. I mean, I think household robots would be around maybe in 5 years. 20 what year is it? 2026? Maybe about like in 4 years, 2030, household robots would be a household commodity, you know, 2 robots for every person. Like, that's just what I think. That's a very optimistic projection, but, you know, maybe it's earlier than that. If the exponential advancement is actually real and grow and true. And so, you know, I promised I'd put out one of these every day, but dude, these are so hard to make. Not because of, it's not hard to record, but it's hard to set up. And what's harder than that is the decision to set up. So it's like, you have to decide, okay, I'm going to make a video. That's really hard to do. The second hard thing to do is like, dude, I'm going to set up. I'm going to make sure my gear is working and everything. Because everything else is easy. You know, the filming is easy. The editing is easy. Because you just trim the edges. You just trim the ends, the front and the back. And then you just do this like, you just wing it. Which surprisingly, how do I do it? I don't know. And so, and the editing and the upload is easy too. Because you just upload it. Like, it doesn't take any thought at all. You know? And so, they say dog is a man's best friend. You know, dogs have definitely saved me. You know? And I think they are God's gift to mankind. And everyone should have a dog that they cherish and they love, they hug, they kiss, and that they form pair bonds with. I think it's a beautiful dynamic and a beautiful facet of life. Pets. I got some birds. We have some dogs in the house too, and they really add color to your life, depending on how you view them. I mean, if you're not a fan, then steer clear. But I'm just speaking as a fan of that. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Hopefully we'll do one of these every day, a little more often. I've been meaning to go to more places, but once I work through some difficulties, hopefully we can actually start moving around the city a little more, because it's a big city with a lot of places to go. And I'll be honest, a lot of things to do, a lot of places to go. I could eat while I do this if we get the setup right, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.